So what kind of career advice do you get from a real estate mogul who became president? Well, we're about to find out. In this explainer, we're going to break down a commencement address from Donald Trump. We've distilled his key advice on ambition and success into a few core lessons, and they just might surprise you. And we're kicking things off with this quote because, really, it's the heart of the entire speech. This whole idea of being an outsider, of challenging the way things are done. It's the foundation for literally all the other advice he gives. So let's dig into what that actually means. All right, first up, a lesson all about the power of being young. The big idea here is that your career doesn't start after you get a bunch of experience. Nope. According to this advice, your youth isn't some kind of waiting period. It's your launch pad. And the point is pretty straightforward. You are never too young to do something truly great. This speech just throws out the idea that you need decades of experience to make a real impact. Instead, it's all about raw ambition and drive. Those are the real game changers, especially when you're just getting started.
And to back this up, he looks to history. I mean, just look at these examples. You've got tech icons like Steve Jobs and cultural giants like Walt Disney. Both started their legendary companies when they were just 21 years old. He even throws in founding fathers like James Madison and Thomas Jefferson, and of course, his own first big real estate deal at 28. The message is crystal clear. History is absolutely packed with young people who didn't wait around to make their mark.
And he wraps up this first lesson with this really direct call to action. Go out and fight. The message is simple. Be proactive, maybe even a little aggressive right from day one. Don't let your youth slip by, because that's when you've got the energy and the fire to really push the boundaries and get amazing things done. Okay, so we've talked about age. Now let's talk about attitude. The next few pieces of advice are so connected, he really presents them as one big thing, a single powerful mindset for success. It's all about building that internal engine that's going to drive you forward.
So he breaks it down into this simple 3-part formula. It all starts with passion. You gotta love what you do. That passion is what gives you the fuel to think big, to have these huge, ambitious ideas. But both of those are pretty useless without that third crucial piece, the insane work ethic you need to make any of it happen. And to explain this, he tells a story about his father, who he described as a total workaholic. But the point wasn't just that the man worked 7 days a week, it was that he absolutely loved it. The idea is, if you can find that same kind of passion, then all the hard work and effort it takes to succeed, well, it doesn't feel like a chore. It actually feels like fun. This quote right here, it perfectly nails that final piece of the mindset. He uses this famous line from the golfer Gary Player to hammer home that connection between effort and results. So the point isn't about some random luck. It's about the fact that you can basically manufacture your own luck through just relentless hard work. Okay, this next lesson is a big one. It's told as a cautionary tale, and it's honestly one of the most memorable parts of the whole speech. It's all about this fragile but incredibly powerful thing he calls career momentum. Now, before we jump into the story, let's get on the same page about what momentum means here. It's that forward motion, right? That inertia you build up when you're deep in your work and you're making things happen. His argument is that protecting this momentum is one of the most important things you can possibly do for your career. The story is all about this guy, William Levitt. Now, back in the mid-20th century, this man was an absolute giant in real estate. We're talking the biggest developer in the whole country, famous for creating these huge suburban communities called Levittown. By any measure, he was at the absolute peak of his game. And this timeline just lays out the whole dramatic story. So at his peak in the 40s, he sells his company for a fortune and retires. For 15 years, he's living the good life. But then he gets bored. He wants back in the game. So he buys his company back, ready to build again. The problem? The world had changed, and frankly, so had he. He went all in on a new project. The market turned on him, and he lost it all. Everything. He ended up bankrupt. And this is the punchline. Trump talks about meeting a totally defeated Levitt at a party years later. He asked him if he could ever make a comeback. And Levitt's answer is the whole point of the story. He hadn't just lost his money. He said, "I lost my momentum." By stepping away for so long, he lost that edge, that instinct, that forward motion that made him a star in the first place. So, if protecting your internal momentum is one half of the puzzle, the other half is how you deal with the outside world. This brings us right back to that quote we started with, being an outsider and having the guts to challenge the system. Trump basically lays out 2 different ways to go. On one hand, you've got the insider, the person who works within the existing system.
He describes it as safer, sure, but also way more limited. Then you've got the path of the outsider, the person who looks at a broken system and says, I can fix this. It's definitely riskier, but according to this speech, that's where the potential for really huge success lies.
And here's the bottom line for this lesson. Real, meaningful progress, it doesn't come from just accepting things as they are. It comes from the people who are willing to be different, to follow their own vision, and to challenge how things are done, especially when it's hard. So, let's do a quick recap of all 6 pieces of advice from the speech. 1. Use the power of your youth. 2. Love what you do. 3. Think big. 4. Work harder than everybody else. 5. Protect your career momentum no matter what. And finally, number 6, have the courage to be an outsider. And that leaves us with one final question for you. In a world that's changing faster than ever, which one of these rules do you think is the most critical for success today? Is it that youthful ambition, a relentless work ethic, unbreakable momentum, or is it the courage to finally be an outsider? We'd love to know what you think.